I spent probably hundreds of hours on Snapchat as a kid growing up. As a Gen Z, I mean, if you're a Gen Z, you already know what Snap is, but if you're not, it's this like communication, social media app which is all about like sending photos to each other. They're called snaps, like you take a snap and that's what the name is. And after having spent hundreds of hours on Snapchat over the years, it taught me a very important life lesson. I don't use Snapchat anymore, and I stopped using it about 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago. But I used it through all of middle school and the starting few years of high school. And on Snapchat, there's this one feature that everybody uses, which is called streaks. And what streaks is whenever you send someone a snap or a photo and they reciprocate, like as long as you exchange messages, it like this number appears next to every contact name that you have that tells you how many days in a row you've been basically messaging someone and basically interacting with them. And it's sort of this collaborative gamification where if you send a photo, they also have to send a photo for that streak to go to 2, then 3, then 4. If one person doesn't reply to you or send you a message, it basically just, the streak just dies. And over the years, like I had really, really big streaks with my friends. We're talking like more than 2 years, 600, 700, 800 days of constantly messaging each other back and forth. And oftentimes people on this app, and actually I haven't used the app for like 5 years, so I don't know if this is still a thing, but people will have streaks, hundreds and hundreds of days with like hundreds and hundreds of people. So you may be wondering, it's like, how does someone have the time to be able to message someone something every single day, hundreds of people for like this many days in a row? And that's a great question. But the streak doesn't just exist for you to message someone as long as you just send a photo. So back when I used to be on Snapchat, one of the things that people used to do is literally take a photo of like nothing. Like you take a phone and you put your hand in front of the phone, you take the photo, so it's just black. And then people would like either text, they would be like put streaks as like a text caption on that photo and send that photo, or they'd like draw this like S circle and then they would send that photo. And it's so weird and so stupid because now that I think about it, everybody was just sending each other like S's and like streaks just for that number. But I think that number teaches you a very like taught me a very important concept psychologically, which is that I remember initially it was quite like hard to start a streak, but all of my streaks that were like over 50, 100, 200, they were really important to me because I knew that in the event I stopped that streak and I missed sending that message, that would reset to zero, and it would take a long time to get that number, um, get that streak high again. And oftentimes we also like felt those things, those streaks, as like sort of it sort of showed how close you were with someone. Like if you were really good friends with someone, you'd have a really big streak with them. So those things were important. And I realized like a few years later, as like some more of a mature adult, Snapchat was just basically forcing us to like enforce this habit of sending this like streaks or this like photo to people. And I realized that as the numbers of the streak got higher and higher, the friction required to be able to send the streak got lower and lower. It sort of became a habit, and then you sort of do it without thinking. And the reason I'm telling you this is also this psychological concept can also be used in real life, where you can gamify something that you want to do, like a positive behavior, and count the amount of days you've done it in a row. And when you do that, you can start this like gamified streak, and as the streak increases, obviously it's hard for the first day, for the like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but as you start doing it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, then it just becomes a habit and it starts to happen automatically. It is extremely important, especially at the starting stages when your streak is quite low, to try not to let your streak like dissipate, because when it dissipates, the friction required to restart it is much harder. Um, and on Snapchat, actually, like when you didn't message each other for a day, it didn't actually delete your streak straight away. This like small like time glass with like sand pouring out appeared next to the name, letting you know that hey, like very soon this streak is gonna basically disappear. And it's funny because this year I'm trying to do a challenge of recording 5 stories a week, um, and to improve my storytelling. And I'm doing it with a friend, Julian, who's actually doing one story every single day. Um, and we're trying to like formulate this streak every week. I do 5, he does 7, I do 5, and as these weeks stack up, it starts to become a habit. and today's a Sunday, and I've only recorded 2 stories. So, and this is my 3rd story. So after this, I have to record 2 more. And I was thinking for a second today, like, what if I just give up today, give up this week? And potentially, I'd feel really bad because one of my goals is to do this for the rest of the year. So if I give up today, it means I failed that, and failure like never feels nice. But that is okay. Like, I'm okay with dealing with failure because I'll reflect on why I wasn't able to do it and restart. But I think what I was more scared of is the fact that I've already been uploading 5 stories a week for the past 4 or 5 weeks. So I have this streak, and I care about this streak because I know once like I break it, I have to restart at 0, and I don't want to restart at 0. So this is like, this video in itself is an application of that psychological phenomenon that Snapchat used back in the day. So whatever, if you're trying to learn a habit, if you are trying to improve your life in any sort of way, I definitely recommend like try start a streak with a positive behavior and track that, and do it with friends. And yeah, that's how Snapchat taught me this important lesson that I'm using now in my life. So hopefully you found that useful.